All right, let's jump right in. I want you to picture the most epic team sport you can imagine. A game that needs absolutely insane coordination, perfect timing, and a huge roster of players. Now, what if I told you this team has like over 100 players all on the field at the same time? And get this, every single one of them has to nail their part perfectly for the whole team to win. Pretty intense, right? Okay, but here's where it gets wild. There's no shouting. No one's calling out plays. There is literally no voice chat, not a single word. Every player just has to know exactly what to do and when to do it, all without speaking. I mean, how is that even possible?
Well, you're looking at it. We're talking about the Symphony Orchestra. It's got to be one of the most complex and powerful teams on Earth. And today, we're going to figure out how this incredible team actually pulls it off.
So, every great team needs a captain, right? In the orchestra, that person is the conductor. Think of them as the coach, the strategist, and the team captain all rolled into one. But here's the twist. They don't make a single sound themselves. So what's their job exactly? Well, the conductor has to get more than 100 different musicians to play like they're one single person, one voice. They study the composer's playbook, which is called the musical score, and then use just their hands and body to guide the entire team through the whole performance. Let's put it in gaming terms. The conductor? That's your raid leader. That little stick they hold, the baton, that's basically their mouse or controller, signaling the speed and the beat. And that giant book of music they're looking at, that's a strategy map. It shows every single player's move from start to finish.
Okay, so time to meet the players. First up, we've got the biggest part of the team, the absolute core of the orchestra's sound, the string section.
Yeah, this is a whole family of instruments. You've got the smaller violins playing all the high notes, and then you go all the way down to the huge double basses that handle the really low, deep sounds. And they all work the same basic way, by drawing a bow across the strings to create that super rich, awesome sound we all know. So if we're back in our video game team, the strings are your main damage dealers, your DPS. They're the ones carrying the main melodies and creating those big emotional moments. They really are the heart and soul of the team, always pushing the story forward. But hey, every team needs specialists, right? The players who can totally change the game with their unique abilities. Well, in the orchestra, that's where the woodwinds and the brass come in.
First up, the woodwinds. I like to think of these as the mages of the orchestra. You've got instruments like the flute, the oboe, the clarinet, and the bassoon. Each one has a completely unique voice, or a different color, that it adds to the sound. They're like casting melodic spells that can change the whole vibe of the music.
And one of the woodwinds has a super important job. Check this out. Before the whole thing even starts, the oboe player plays just one single note, an A. And the entire 100-person team tunes their instruments to that one sound. It's like one player calibrating the settings for the whole team before the match begins. No pressure, right?
Okay, so if the woodwinds are the mages, then the brass section, well, these guys are the heavy hitters. The trumpets, French horns, trombones, and the massive tuba, they are without a doubt the tanks of the orchestra. You know that huge, heroic sound in a movie soundtrack right when the hero is about to win? Yeah, that's almost always the brass section. Their whole job is to bring the power, the loudness, and those epic, triumphant sounds. When you hear them kick in, you just know a huge moment is happening.
All right, but what gives the music its heartbeat? Its pulse. And what about all those cool sound effects? For that, we have to go to the back of the stage, to the most varied group in the entire orchestra, the percussion section.
People sometimes call this section the kitchen of the orchestra, and for good reason. It has everything. You've got massive drums you can actually tune, called timpani. You've got crashing cymbals, tiny little triangles, xylophones that play melodies. So much stuff. The players here have to be total masters of rhythm and timing. So basically, the percussion section is what provides the energy. They lay down the rhythmic foundation for the whole team. They're the ones making the sound of thunder with a big drum or a lightning crash with cymbals. They provide that pulse that makes you want to tap your feet. Okay, so you've got all these amazing players with different roles. How do you get them all to win the concert? Well, it all comes down to two things: practice and strategy. Just like any other top-tier team.
So how do they get that good? It takes literally hundreds.
Hours of rehearsal. I mean, all those musicians get together and practice for hours and hours, led by the conductor. They work out all the tricky parts and make sure their timing and balance are absolutely perfect. It takes a crazy amount of teamwork to turn a bunch of notes on a page into one epic experience.
And even where everyone sits on stage is pure strategy. It's like a team formation. The conductor's right up front, on a podium. The strings? They're closest to the audience. The woodwinds, who are a bit quieter, sit in the middle. And the super loud brass and percussion, they're way in the back. And there's a good reason for that. It's so their powerful sound can soar over everyone else without totally drowning them out. When you really think about it, it all boils down to this. The orchestra is just a massive team that uses sound, not words, to tell incredible stories. It's kind of like the ultimate co-op game, where every single player is absolutely essential to making the whole thing work.
And that brings me to one last question for you. Think about your favorite movie or your favorite video game. What soundtrack do you think would be the most epic thing ever to hear played live by a full symphony orchestra? Seriously, think about it. It's pretty cool, right? Thanks for tuning in.